Rivers Community Group has formed to fight for the future of Dunoon Dam. Proposal, Our Future Northern Rivers, says the Dunoon Dam proposal, which has been rejected by the Rouse County Council, still offers the best value for money when it comes to supplying water for the region. Spokesman Richard Trevan spoke to Bruce McKenzie about why the group supports the project.
Look, the dam's been taken off the list, so looking at the alternatives and the costings for that, it doesn't look particularly good for the broader community. You're talking about at least $600 million more for the non-dam alternatives in a whole-of-life comparison to 2100.
What about if we look at the cost? I think it's per megalitre, is it, that you've worked out?
Yeah, so the per megalitre cost, again, for the dam is by far and away the most cost-effective solution at $19,000 per megalitre, according to the Rouse documentation. The alternatives end up being somewhere in the region of $40,000 per megalitre. That's double the cost of the dam water supply. So that would be, for example, the groundwater solutions with the aquifers. The desalination plant is 2.5 times the dam water supply at $50,000 a megalitre. So all in all, it doesn't matter how you look at this, including the recycled water options. Again, the going rate these days for normal recycled water stuff is coming down to that of the desalination water supply at $50,000 a megalitre. So irregardless of what happens from here on out, with the dam off the list, the community is looking at a massive increase in water supply costs, and that will obviously be passed on to everybody across the region.
How did you come up with these figures? Is there any way, you said that you sort of got them from the Rouse documents, is there any way people could dispute what you found?
You can just take a look at the integrated water cycle management documentation from Rouse. You'll find it all in there. They've spent a considerable amount of time trying to get real-world costings for the proposed solutions, and so, you know, there's not a whole lot to pretend. They've put also in the construction costs, the renewal costs, the maintenance and operating expenses, so you can get a whole-of-life comparison out to 2100. The only solution that doesn't have any costings is would be the recycled water option. So they're really asking the community to make a long-term strategic decision based on something that has no costings to it in that regard, which is, that's probably unacceptable. But when it comes to the groundwater solutions with the aquifers and the desalination plant, you'll find it all in there.
Do you think this is something that needs to be debated with this kind of information maybe at the forefront? Do you think most people, when they were considering this plan, were aware of the costings?
Well, my experience, having spoken to a broad cross-section of people on this, is that some people rank order other issues differently. That cost may not be the highest priority. They might rank environmental issues or Indigenous cultural heritage issues or some other type of logistical constraints is a good one. There's all kinds of ways of looking at water, and water means a lot of different things to different people according to how through which lens and prism you look at it. And so costs, these days people there are some people in society who absolutely need to know the cost of this stuff, and there are others who don't seem to sort of really be too interested in it. That's just how it is.
What would you like to see happen from here?
Well, I think that inevitably the broader taxpayer of Australia or New South Wales is going to be paying for this. So irregardless of what happens, it's going to need to be funded, and whatever the solution is, it's going to need to be funded. And so there's going to be a lot of scrutiny over the costings. And where the debate will be is whether or not a dam, for example, is when you have an upfront expenditure like a dam where all of the money or a lot of the money is spent in the first, say, 10 years of the project, and then from there on out, the renewal, maintenance and operating expenses are insignificant in comparison to the alternatives, or the way that it's being staged now with Rouse's scenarios is to have, a measured approach with the alternatives as they get rolled out over time, as the community's demand for water increases, they drop another solution into the equation. But unfortunately, in doing it that way, there's a lot of risks associated with it, which is understandable. But then the construction, renewal, maintenance and operating expenses are hideously expensive in comparison to the dam. And so, a good example would be the renewal costs. It's 9 times more expensive for the no dam solutions than it is for the dam. The maintenance costs are almost 10 times more expensive for the no dam solutions. The operating expenses are somewhere in the region of $300 million more over the life cycle of the dam, but it never gets a mention. And so, unfortunately, until we have the full conversation, taking absolutely everything into consideration, I don't feel like the community is, in a position sort of to make too many decisions. And unfortunately, that's where we're at today.
Richard Trevan, a spokesperson for the new group that's formed, Our Future Northern Rivers. They would like people to have a look at the various proposals and make their thoughts known before the closing date for submissions of May 28.